everybody, Geraldine Rose here, your everyday crafter with a much more traditional card this time. Thank you for a friend for the Color Throwdown Challenge this week. Now you would think with colors of red, yellow, and green for this week's Color Throwdown that I would have had no trouble whatsoever with this card, but it set me challenges all the way along. You know that thing where you start out and you've got an idea in your mind and then it just doesn't come to fruition, like even at the first go, and then you just keep trying to fix it? Well, that's the story of today with this card. This Spellbinders Corner Sunflowers BetterPress plate had come in my last order from them, and I got out the Versifying Clair Nocturne, which I find works really well actually with the BetterPress plates. I have a lot less trouble with it than the little cubes with the BetterPress ink in it. By the way, you're going to see my perfectionism in action here. I have that thing turned around the wrong way and, oh no, we must have the BetterPress, just like Starbucks. They say in the camera, and I will do that every single time through this video. So I've got everything set in place. I'm running it through the Big Shot. It's pressed down the plate. I have my print. Looks great. Because I've used the Versifying Clair, I'm able to emboss it. Used the Wow. It's a dull matte powder so that it would hold the water and the shimmer powders and the Lindy's Magicals in place, but you couldn't really tell that it's there. Have the heat gun on that. Now I'm spritzing the back panel so that when I sprinkle down the Nouveau Shimmer powders that they don't lodged into place and just only bleed from a certain spot, that they would already start spreading. So here's where you're gently tapping them on. Just use a light tap of your fingernail on the back of the bottle, because if you get the big bloops out like I did there, then you have to take a brush in and kind of spread them around. I didn't like the effect that I got from the Nouveau Shimmers. I think it's because the Cherry Bomb was just too strong of a red for what I was wanting. I should have just stuck with the Catherine wheel. So I used my Lindy's Magicals as well. Once it was dry, I was just wiping off any of that powder that might have been stuck to the embossing lines. Even though it was the really good heavyweight cotton BetterPress paper, it did soak up a lot of the water and got warped. I pulled out the Spellbinders floral embossing folder and put it through with that, just to kind of put that pattern all the way across the entire panel. Next, I'm like, okay, I've got to accentuate the pattern again now that it's dry and the underpainting, so to speak, is done. Got out re-inkers, various shades of yellow, red, and green. Went over each of those sections to bring them out to the front a little bit more, and it's starting to help. But that one red is standing out still way too much. It's got like a fuchsia undertone in it, and it's kind of taking over the middle there. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to fix this. You know, it's like when your intuition is telling you that it's not quite there yet. So I thought, okay, great. I've got the embossing pattern on. Let me get out some of the Hero Arts Unicorn ink, the white pigment ink that you can put across the top of patterns. It's really subtle. You have to go over it a couple of times to actually deepen that white, and it helps somewhat. And then I was like, okay, well, what if I get out some of my colored vellum? The gold will stand in for yellow, and the red will do for the red flowers in the middle. Chop down a couple of pieces, position them over the spot in the press plate where I wanted just that section. Squash down on them with some dot runner glue to hold that piece. Ran it through, embossing it. This time I did use actually the clear embossing powder. Move really quickly with your vellum. It heats up quicker than most cardstock papers, so you have to keep your heat gun moving really quickly. You can see I'm repeating that, tacking in little pieces of the dot runner where they're not going to show because I'll be fussy cutting this out afterwards, and I knew that that part would be gone. Got that one done as well. So my mind's still ticking away in the background thinking, oh, I can still make this better for this friend. So I thought, oh, if I die cut the bigger BetterPress panel down to reduce its impact a little bit, but put in a nice muted Desert Storm behind with the BetterPress plate repeated there, that'll help. And then of course I'll put those vellum pieces, I'll fussy cut them out and put them over the top. Yeah, that'll help a little bit. So you can see this is what we've got going on here, and I'm like, oh, it's a little too gold. All right, plan B, C, D. What are we up to now? How about floating the vellum sunflowers up above the rest? You can still see the gold underneath. Okay, what about putting frames around it? Put a gold frame in the back with the Desert Storm and put a white frame in the front to match the BetterPress cotton paper. That'll tie the two of them together. You'll still be able to see the second BetterPress in the yellow ink underneath. Match it up with the one on the front. Okay, so now we're getting a more traditional card. All right, it's starting to look a little bit better. Okay, yeah, just let that percolate in the back of your mind. Go work on the sentiment for now. I grabbed this sentiment out of this set. Got my glimmer machine out because these BetterPress plates, you can foil with them as well and actually foil really, really good. Used some of my Aura gold foil for that. Ran it very slowly through my big shot. We're going to see how it actually took, because I actually used some of the heavier paper for this too. And usually Hammermill works really good because it's smooth. So this is an experiment. Let's see. It's not too bad. It's beautiful fine detail, but the aura didn't show up quite as much as I had hoped for. Probably because the sentiment is so thin. And thank goodness they've got a die to cut it all out. Did a few layers of white and then one of black, like a shimmer black behind to cause a shadow underneath. I'm like, okay, this'll work. I can set this in place up here at top. As you can see, that's what we're doing. And now for the centers of the flowers, I got out some of the Nouveau Jewel Drops, the Strawberry Coulis and the Limoncello. I'm adding that on top and I'm going to let them dry. I almost didn't for 1 second. It went through my mind, put some glitter on top. There you go in retro anyways. I'm like, girl, don't you do it. Get out something modern. Get the solar paste out. You can fix this with solar paste. And so I did. I got the golden hour out for putting over top of the gold to kind of bring up the yellow a little bit more. And the other one, the red one, is the overheated for putting just over the 5 little red flowers there. This was actually very satisfying painting this on. I think that's what I like doing the most. I can still handle painting. I can't do the coloring as much. As you guys notice, I rarely color with Copic. To bring out the yellow even more, I got out Picket Fence, the paper glaze in daffodil yellow. That did it. I got that. I was like, yeah, okay, fine. We're getting somewhere with that. Here is the solar paste in overheated over just the little red guys. They were super quick to do. And evaluation moment says, good to splatter. I cut out another blank thankful from the shadow part in the back, covered up my sentiment with it, got out the Kuretake, the gold mica ink. I hadn't used this for a while and forgot how absolutely fabulously yellowy gold this is, and it splatters down really nicely. Used my mini fan brush for that in my splatter box. Of course, I have stuff still on my keyboard in the back. Luckily, the inside of my card wasn't anywhere near that because I hadn't started it yet. Got out the Close to My Heart for the Love of Crafting stamp set. Used a couple of the sentiments. We'll use 3 of the sentiments on the inside there in our 3 colors, yellow, green, and red, to tie in with the theme that this is going to a crafty friend. Here's my custom stamp for the back. Picked out another one that was suitable for what the theme of a card is. Now we can put the panel on. Of course, the splatter has dried safely. So wiggling it into spot, I'll put an acrylic block on top to kind of hold everything down until that glue sets. And then, of course, we're going to put on just a little bit of bling, some Simon's stamp, and this calls for confetti in the tones that were actually from this challenge in the red and the green and the yellow again. And there's our finished card. So I hope she likes it. I think she's a bit more of a traditional style of person. If not, we got her done and we learned some things. I hope you guys are too. You all be that change you want to see in the world, and have a good one out there. Thanks. Bye-bye.